check out our streaming schedule for this week. We've got tons of content in terms of the NFL and college football, as we're going live just about every single day this week. So make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single moment where we go live. And now, on with our feature presentation. What is the primary job of a play-by-play man? When it comes to broadcasters in that role, their primary job is to identify what is happening. You have your color commentator providing analysis on what is going on. But for the guys out there like Jim Nantz, Ian Eagle, Joe Buck, Al Michaels, and the like, the job is to just say what's happening. It's easier said than done, because you've got to not only play off of your partner well, but you have to be able to identify guys on the spot and make out what is happening while using the appropriate dialogue and tone in your voice. If someone makes a grab, you have to be able to not only articulate that, but make out who exactly made the catch. If someone gets a sack, you have to make out who got the sack. Again, it seems like a very easy job on the surface, because everyone thinks that they can just talk into a microphone about what they see. But it is a very tough gig, especially because if you get something wrong, especially something that most people would not get wrong, it's in front of millions of people who just heard your bad mistake. And if you want to learn more about other instances of broadcasts gone horribly wrong, like the one we're going to talk about in today's video, then this is the place for you, because we talk about all things NFL history all the time with a new video and a new live stream every single day. So if you like that sort of stuff, then be sure to hit that like button down below, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single video that we post on the channel. Thanks in advance for your support as we try and hit 70,000 subscribers. And the man you've been watching this whole time is a man considered to be one of the best in the business. This is Don Criqui, and odds are you've heard this man call a game before. You know what his voice sounds like, because he called NFL games for nearly half a century. From games like the Miracle of the Meadowlands to Red Right 88, which you can learn more about by clicking the card in the upper right corner, to what many consider to be the greatest playoff game of all time in the epic in Miami between the San Diego Chargers and the Miami Dolphins, Criqui has seen it all and has done it all. And 99% of the time, the man gets it right. You're not in this industry for half a century and get to go out on your own terms if you don't get it right a crap ton of the time. But man, there was one moment that he'd really love to have back. There was one moment that probably haunts him to this day. Because on opening day of the 1983 season, when the Baltimore Colts played the England Patriots, Criqui was on the call alongside his color commentator, Jim Turner. And to say that he and everyone at NBC involved with the game screwed up royally would be putting it lightly. Think of the absolute worst thing that a play-by-play man can do during a game in the biggest situation. And that's exactly what Don Criqui did. And we're here to break it down today. Because this is the story behind what might just be, considering the circumstances, the worst overtime broadcast in NBC history, and quite possibly NFL history. Before I talk about the actual incident in question, and just how bad the screw-up was, because trust me, it was really bad, we need some context to understand the game itself and how it was going. It's September 4th, 1983. It's opening day of a brand new NFL season, and we head up to Foxborough for this AFC East battle between the New England Patriots and the Baltimore Colts. For the Colts, after a winless season in 1982, they're looking to start this season off on the right foot and give head coach Frank Kush his first ever win in the pros. Meanwhile, for the Patriots, after making the playoffs the previous year in 1982, they're looking to pick up right where they left off and defeat a Colts team that, according to the Vegas spread, they should defeat relatively comfortably. Oddly enough, I did a video about this game a couple of years ago for a very different reason, as I talked about how in an effort to sell more tickets, the Patriots decided to throw a post-game concert immediately after the game involving none other than the Beach Boys. So if you want to learn more about that, and how that wild promotion came to be, click the card in the upper right corner. As for how this game was going, well, it was extremely neck and neck, and was a lot closer than most people thought it would be. The score was tied at 13 apiece in the half, and following a 33-yard field goal by Raul Allegre in the fourth quarter, in what was his first ever NFL regular season game, we were tied at 23, and we're going into overtime. The rules for overtime back then were simple. First score wins. Doesn't matter what it is. If you score first, the game is over. The bad news for the Colts was that they lost the coin toss, meaning that the Patriots were starting with the ball. And they were moving it pretty well too, as they found themselves in plus territory, only one first down away from potential field goal range. As long as the Patriots didn't turn the ball over, they looked like they were going to win this one and were going to walk away with a nail-biting division victory. And then, this happened.
Smith has been doing it in New England. It ain't like this in November and December. Here is a handoff, running a fumble. Free ball, picked up. That is a fumble if they call it, but there's a penalty marker down. Hosea Taylor's heading for the end zone, but let's see what the call is. If that call's against New England, this game is over.
Yep, that's right. Touchdown for the Baltimore Colts off the fumble recovery, and even though there's a flag on the field, it was for holding on the Patriots. So naturally, that was declined. The Colts just did it. The Colts just got the win. They went on the road, defeated their division rival, and after a winless campaign in 1982, started this season off with an emphatic bang against all odds. And the man who scored the touchdown? According to the announcers and the ever-reliable Don Criqui, it was Hosea Taylor. What an incredible story for him. After getting drafted by the Colts in 1981 in the 8th round, he didn't play in 1982 due to being on injured reserve. Then, in his first game back off of IR after missing all of last season, he scores the game-winning touchdown. From wondering if he was ever going to play in the NFL again, to the first touchdown of his NFL career in walk-off fashion in overtime off of a nasty injury, to give the Colts their first win in 2 years. Truly great scenes. Truly happy for Hosea Taylor. If that's what actually happened. However, as you can probably tell, that's not what happened. Because Don Criqui was wrong. He was wrong on the man who scored the touchdown. For you see, it wasn't Hosea Taylor. Rather, it was Johnny Cooks, as in the team's first-round pick in 1982 and the second overall pick in that 1982 NFL draft. In fact, Taylor was on the complete opposite side of the field when this happened. It's still a remarkable story in itself, seeing as Cooks was the second overall pick, and the team that had the first pick in that 1982 draft was the New England Patriots, who also went on the defensive line with Kenneth Sims, meaning that Cooks had a chip on his shoulder, seeing as the Pats passed on him. But you wouldn't know it by listening to Don Criqui, because he got the player's name wrong. Instead of saying Johnny Cooks, he said it was Hosea Taylor who took it back for the walk-off game-winning touchdown. That is a really bad blunder. Now I know what you might be thinking. Holy overreaction, Batman. You're kidding me, right? An announcer slipped up by saying the wrong name, and that warrants an entire video? Let he who has announced the game and hasn't accidentally misidentified a player before cast the first stone. And to that I say, I 100% agree with you. Believe me, no arguments for me on that one. Announcing is tough. I did it before in college for 4 years, and I do it on stream when I live stream games. And it's not as easy as the best of the best make it look. There are plenty of times where a player will be misidentified right away, but quickly corrected. It happens at least once a game on most broadcasts. True, it doesn't exactly happen on the biggest play of the game, but every announcer that's been in the business long enough has at least 1,000 moments where they thought one player caught a pass, but in reality, it was someone else. They thought it was number 11, but it was 17. Or they thought that the handoff went to number 26, when in actuality, it went to 28. Or they thought that number 98 got the sack, when in actuality, it was 99. So I am 100% in agreement with you here. If Don Criqui, one of the best in the business, initially said that Hosea Taylor was the one who scored the touchdown, and then corrected himself to say that it was Johnny Cooks, then this is a non-story. And in no way whatsoever does this warrant a revisit 40 years later. Except, that did not happen. Because now, I'm going to play for you the rest of the broadcast. At this point, we have statisticians who know that Johnny Cooks scored the touchdown. We have cameras specifically isolated on Johnny Cooks to let viewers know that he scored a touchdown. We have spotters whose sole responsibility during the games is to let announcers know how many yards a play got and who made the play. Spotters are the unsung heroes of a lot of big broadcasts, feeding stats to the broadcasters and identifying players and yardage totals immediately. So it's no longer heat of the moment where you can mistake Hosea Taylor, line up on the opposite side of the field, with Johnny Cooks. At this point, it's very obvious to everyone watching the broadcast and everyone with eyes that Johnny Cooks was the one who scored. So let's see what happened the rest of the broadcast and how it played out. Unedited, uninterrupted, right until the end. This is what happened after Johnny Cooks scored the touchdown.
Smith has been doing it in New England. It ain't like this in November, December. Here is a handoff, running a fumble. Free ball, picked up. That is a fumble if they call it, but there's a penalty marker down. Hosea Taylor's heading for the end zone, but let's see what the call is.
If that call's against New England, this game is over.
That's it. Absolutely is over, but we'll see what the call is. Now the officials, the game is on the line with this conference.
It certainly is, right there on the 20-yard line. If this is against New England, this game...
Holding.
This game's over.
It's over. It is a fumble and a touchdown.
Holy cow.
The holding call against the Patriots. Hosea Taylor, we had to wait for the result, takes it in for a touchdown.
Touchdown. It makes up for the call they made on the lateral.
Patriots have never won an overtime.
First victory for Frank Kush.
Our thanks to spotters Ron Hobson and Reagan Holman and Bill George. As we have come to you today from Foxborough, Massachusetts, our producer Peter Rolfe, our director Andy Rosenberg, a sensational day, and here is the game-ending play.
And you can see it makes up for the other one. A good hit in there. Maxwell, it just dropped out of his hands. No one hit him.
Tony Collins lost the ball.
Hosea Taylor picks up the ball, big lumbering man, and the decision came on the officials.
We had to wait. There was a penalty marker down, and finally they conferred, and it was decided it was a call, a holding against New England. And so the play goes, and into the end zone goes Hosea Taylor, and Frank Kush has his first win as coach at Baltimore.
What an exciting start to the NFL season. A very good game.
Oh, unbelievable.
That's right. They already misidentified Johnny Cooks thinking that he was Hosea Taylor. Then, they did it again. Then, they did it another time with the replay. And then, even after the replay, and even after all the shots showing that it was Cooks who scored the touchdown, they did it a fourth time. On the final play of the game, the NBC announcers and Don Criqui and Jim Turner brought up the man who scored the touchdown 4 times. All 4 times, they got the name wrong. All 4 times, they said that it was Hosea Taylor instead of Johnny Cooks. That, to me, is absolutely insane. No one, not one person in the NBC truck or upstairs with the announcers was saying in their headset that it was Johnny Cooks. Not one person bothered to say, hey, we got the name wrong. Not one person noticed that they were saying the wrong name the entire time. Imagine if, at Super Bowl 58, Jim Nantz and Tony Romo repeatedly said that it was Kadarius Toney who scored the game-winning touchdown and not Mecole Hardman, and then never issued a correction or said Harmon's name, meaning that if you were just listening to the broadcast, you left thinking that the complete wrong player scored a touchdown. And again, it's not like this was a one-time thing on a 2-yard run on 2nd and 9 where they misidentified the defensive tackle and never corrected themselves. This was repeatedly saying the wrong guy who scored the game-winning walk-off overtime touchdown even after replays and even after minutes of dissection. I have no clue how that happens. Genuinely, I have no clue how that happens. How none of the announcers noticed this. How no one upstairs noticed this. How no one in the truck noticed this. How no one in the chain of command noticed this. I have no clue. But talk about a botched call at quite literally the worst possible time. And when it comes to the man who scored the touchdown in the game between these two teams behind me right here, Johnny Cooks played 10 seasons in the NFL, so he spent a decade in the league, and he even won a Super Bowl in 1990 as a member of the New York Giants, when he helped the Giants win Super Bowl 25. However, over his 10-year NFL career, he only scored 1 touchdown. That touchdown happened to be that play against the Patriots in 1983. And if he wants to watch the replay of that, he wants to watch the highlight of the greatest moment of his career, too bad, because on that play, the announcers don't even know that it was him who scored the touchdown. They completely get his name wrong. How's that for your 1 touchdown in the NFL? It raises the question, if you score a touchdown, but nobody knows that you scored a touchdown, did you really score a touchdown? Don Criqui is an absolute legend. He did NFL games for nearly half a century, and was the consummate professional throughout it all. no matter what network he worked for. And obviously, when you work for half a century, working hundreds upon hundreds of NFL games and thousands upon thousands of sporting events, not all of your calls can be winners. But man, this was quite the stinker to have. The original misidentification? Yeah, I get that. Happens to the best of us. Everything after that, with Johnny Cooks never being named once, and with Hosea Taylor, who never played in the NFL again after that 1983 season, being credited repeatedly with the touchdown that he never scored, even after the replays, and even during the shots of Cooks, I got nothing. Everyone in the chain of command failed, and it ended up resulting in the worst overtime call in NFL history. Because when it came to the touchdown scored by Johnny Cooks, the announcers were not cooking. Be sure to like and subscribe if you have not done so already, as it helps the channel out a lot, and check out my other channels, JG8 for the history of college football, JG7 for the history of baseball, and JG9 News, where we talk about all things happening in the NFL. Join me every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, where we'll play live NFL trivia for cash prizes. And make sure to join me live, as we're on stream just about every single day. And thanks to all our Patreon members and our YouTube members for helping out the channel. See how you become a member and show your support financially in the description down below.